Good day, guys, and welcome to another episode of Cryptic Crypto, the channel that normally gives you daily updates on the crypto market. Admittedly, I haven't been posting for the last few days in terms of videos because when the market is just in euphoria, I could keep all posting, but I thought it would be better to wait for a bit of a pullback, which I knew was coming. So I thought I'd highlight some of the market updates. So, guys, please like and subscribe. If you'd rather me just keep, posting on the daily, like. If you would rather me post every few days, dislike. That's how I kind of measure it. But please make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'm around about 245 followers with 12 days of doing videos. I want that to increase on the daily. So let's have a look. So on the day, we are down across the board. Now, is that something to worry about? Well, let's zoom out. Let's look at the week. Looks pretty good, right? Other than, Clanker's not performing that well. Everything else looks pretty darn good. On the monthly, everything looks awesome. And on the yearly, everything looks fantastic. The reason why Clanker's not there is because it didn't exist 12 months ago. So let's run through some of the charts. The ones I want to run through today will be CRV, XCN, XRP. I might, if I have time, run a bit through Tel, because obviously Tel's absolutely pumping, and go through from there. So first of all, let's look at the CRV thing. And again, I've had a few people going, "Oh God, the market's going down." I thought we were going to go to $5, $6, $7, etc. and stuff like that. Guys, you've got to wait. You've got to look at these things. So what I've done to try and show you is I've done two fib lines. I've done fib at the all-time highs from previous, and I've done fib lines from a more recent high and a recent low to give you guys a bit of an overview of where we're at. Now, as you can see, if we went all the way back to our all-time highs, you can see that we've basically been consolidating at the 0.618 fib line, and we actually came quite close to the short-term fib line, which is basically targets that we have from in terms of pricing. We nearly reached it and we came back down, but in terms of that, we hit our initial target of 86 cents. We've got some trades that have been open, which I've actually been adding to. A bit of consolidation is a good thing, guys. We could be forming a bull flag here. It's too early to tell, to be honest with you, where we're at in terms of that. But we have had a bit of a pullback, and I know you guys are. I think we've just had the Genius Act. We've just had all this really bullish momentum in terms of crypto, and the crypto week has really been successful. But a lot of these things, you've got to imagine, it's more around looking at the charts, looking at the volume, looking at the macro sentiment and those sort of things, because a lot you can have a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And over the weekend, often there is a lot of this, because you've got to imagine people are going to be wanting to, I say that, in my opinion, exchanges, etc., are going to want to liquidate everyone that's been piling into these longs, so that there's more liquidity to play. And then after the weekend, generally, you'll begin to see a bit of the market flag either go up or go down, depending on market sentiment, volume, etc. But we've had some really bullish news. So have I now turned into an absolute bear because we've hit a more recent high of $1.08, and we've come down to a low of 90 cents? Absolutely not. As you can see, this is probably, if we were to mark this on here now, we could probably realistically say that that is support now. So we could say that we've now got support that we have tested. We've even wicked through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Looks like we could test it again, hopefully before moving to the upside. If we break this, I might exit one of my futures, just because I'm hoping that we might come back down to sort of 70 cents and then push to the upside. But I don't know right now. Again, I need to see what the price action, what the volume's looking like and stuff like that. But CRV is one of my big plays. It's one of my bigger holdings. It's one that if I was looking at a large, a 10x, that's where I'd expect, because I have entered longs, since like 50 cents. We're already 2x from there with the 4x. We're way up on CRV. Where does that leave XCN? Now, again, I don't understand why people are so negative on XCN. The longer you consolidate, the better it is in terms of from an upside. And generally speaking, what happens is the larger caps that what will happen is the liquidity will slowly funnel down, and for us to have a move to the upside from some large caps into this XCN, which is I think still outside of the top 100 coins, but has been more recently one of the most searched coins out there according to Coin Market Cap. And again, it looks like we're forming some kind of form of bull flag, to be honest with you. And people are like, oh, the price action, we just always seem to get close to 2 cents and then consolidate. That is bullish, in my opinion. We've exited this. The price action's been good. If you guys have been staking, if you guys have been in the market for a long period of time, you should be significantly up. Again, this is why I do not generally leverage coins like this, because they can be so volatile, and this isn't even behaving volatile for me. Like if I look at it in terms of, cool, where have we, like, let's do it on the daily so it gives a bit more of a clearer picture. Yeah, where have we been? So where we were down here, so let's say we enter like to the peak, we went up 41%. Okay, right now we are up 30%, or 28%. That's still a huge move to the upside, guys. If you're we're not in a full alt season yet. You're not going to see 5x 10x in a day right now. We need obviously Bitcoin dominance to come down further, so that we begin to enter that, and we'll run through that in this video. But XCN is looking very bullish. So all those naysayers are like, oh god, we're not doing it. We've already had a 30% increase if you've held all the way up to here. If you sold at the top, you've had a 50% increase in terms of percentage move, which again, I don't understand why some bearish comments around that, especially around XRP. I mean, XRP has performed incredibly well. We reached all-time highs again, I believe, unless you base it off obviously some previous posts, but I believe that this is where we've been. Like 365 is very, very bullish. Again, if we measured this from where we put here, we put please, 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 which was not that long ago. And again, if we change this chart to the daily and we look at where we traded from, which is going to be difficult, just do it roughly from there to where we are now, we are again up 28%, but we were up 37%, approximately. In fact, it's more. Couldn't get the chart in there, but yeah, like from that perspective, it's moved incredibly well. We have come from where we said, like, look, we need to exit around $2.27, and this is a strong line of resistance at $2.34 to push up. We have gone up, over $1 in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days. That is bullish, in my opinion. And again, if people are trading out there expecting every single day to be pushing consistently up, you need to start zooming out, because that like shorter time frames give you a different picture. If we look at the weekly and someone presented you with that chart, you would be incredibly bullish. You'd be like, my god, look where we are. We obviously want to finish the weekly above this strong resistance line, so that we can continue to push up to our second target, which again, if we look up here, is around, well, it says it there, $4.50. We need to be obviously finishing the week with a candle above this, so the following week we start above that strong resistance line. But always zoom out, guys. Don't just focus on the 4 hourly. Don't keep looking at the charts on the daily expecting things to push incredibly well. Mine is, I'm still incredibly bullish on XRP. I've gone through some of my targets, and again, my targets probably aren't as bullish as everyone's, but I'm looking at $9.18. I'd be very happy with that, and I will be exiting a large proportion of what I hold there. I have clear targets, and again, do your own research. But XRP, if people are expecting to go to $1,000, it's just never going to happen. That would be the combined, greater than the combined GDP of the world, I believe, or the world market, when you actually look at the trillions and you break it down from that perspective. So, unrealistic, not going to happen, at least in my lifetime, in my opinion. Certainly not in this bull run, which again, I believe we are still in the bull run. Now, looking at Bitcoin, again, people are like, oh no, we're back, we came back down to $115,000. It's all over. It's not. Look, we've broken up to the upside. We've come across here. We hit all-time highs. Bitcoin, on this day, Bitcoin has never been priced higher. There is not a single day before this that Bitcoin has been there. And look, it's not that far from where we are. I mean, today we're slightly up, $118,500. We have now probably presented support at around about 116, or you could say 115,000 roughly, or even a little bit lower if you wanted to, from that perspective. But we've now got support at that line. We've been, testing. We've broken above the 0.618. Fib line, we come back down with, it looks like we're probably hopefully going to test it and break again to the upside, because I've said what my targets were in my last video. From that perspective, it's around about $157,000. I know that's not 200, that's not 300, etc. and stuff like that, but that's my target realistically for this bull run. 200, 250 I do not think is out of the question, but we do need some macro development from that. And to be honest with you, with the recent rulings which we'll run through, and some of the stuff that's passed, like the Genius Acts in terms of stable coins, I think Ethereum's got a great chance to run up to the $12,000 where I think. So where does that leave us in terms of Bitcoin dominance? Again, I've gone through this chart a number of times, but we've been breaking down, right? I had, I've been plotting these lines in terms of support and resistance. We've consistently broken down. We've been breaking down. We're now consolidating around, 61%. We're obviously hoping this is kind of a bear flag, and we're going to break back down further. I said to you guys, when we break this line of resistance, that's when I get ultra bullish at around about 61%, and that's when we'll begin to see more and more liquidity entering some of these markets like CRV, XRP. If we look at Telcoin, from that perspective, look, Telcoin has been pumping. Like I said, with all this news around banking, Ripple have obviously gone, look, we want to be a bank. Telcoin was the first one to do that. Do your research on Telcoin. I'm incredibly bullish on this. I have quite a large play on Telcoin, but we broke this line of resistance. We've been pushing up. We went as far as, a fraction, almost a cent. A cent is obviously, not even at our first fib line, but we have had a huge push to the upside. Again, if we look at that from that perspective, we pushed up 90%, which is huge, guys. If anyone's been in Telcoin and been buying or DCAing on the way down here, they should be very much in profit, and in a lot of more profit than if they'd been holding some of the larger caps, and like even with XCN. But Telcoin has been pushing predominantly through the upside, and what we need to happen is we need Bitcoin dominance to continue to break down, ideally with obviously Bitcoin price either increasing or remaining the same, or consolidating, and that is bullish for all of your altcoins there. Normally alt seasons only last between 4 and 12 weeks, so you have to be prepared to take out profits, and we'll run through that in a bit more detail. Because another thing is we reach all-time highs in terms of total market cap for crypto. So crypto as a whole has been, it's never been higher. Obviously today it's a bit lower, but last week, if we looked at the weekly, that's on the 4 hourly. But yeah, if we looked at the weekly, we've literally hit this line now that I've put as kind of support, and we need to obviously be pushing above this, but we've reached all-time market cap high. When we reached this point, there had never been more money in the crypto world ever before. Again, you can't be more bullish than that. Obviously some people will be like, oh well, we've reached our peak now, we're going to come back down. Cool, like that's your opinion. I still think we've got a lot further to go, and it'll be interesting to see where we finish this bull cycle, to see if I'm right. Now let's look at some of our trades. So to be fair, this is just the total balance in terms of this. I did take some profits, and I bought some spot in Sui and in Solana. The reason why I did that, guys, is just to if you just break it down, I was still betting on Sui's and Solana's price to be going to the upside. Because I've now put them like a few in spot. It means that I've de-risked myself, and if I want to, I can sell them for more dry powder to enter some more trades. We started this at the beginning of the channel at $500. We're at 2,240, so we've already 4x'd where we were meant to be. Well, if we include the spot, we've actually 5x because it's over $2,500. Dollars. We're halfway there, and we've only been doing it for 2 weeks. Some of you guys might say, "Oh, it's a bit lucky because we're obviously entered altcoin." Yeah, agreed. From that perspective, like altcoins are beginning to push to the upside. When I obviously started the channel, it wasn't. But you know, from that perspective, you can see some of our trades. $577 percent. I haven't taken profits. ADA, I entered a trade, 92%. SUI, 78%, ETH 660%, XRP 400%. I'm pretty happy with those trades, not gonna lie to you. Like obviously SUI, I've taken some profit out. I've actually, to be fair, added back into some of these trades because when I actually look at where we're at and you know, in terms of Bitcoin, I see that we're pushing to the upside. I see this as strong support. So I've entered trades before. I believe that because I think we're still going to push to the upside. And if Bitcoin dominance, you know, begins to drop further, then these trades will begin to pump cash. I also think from XRP, we've kind of built a bit of a support line now, which I'd be hoping we push to the upside. Same with, you know, CRV from that perspective. Hopefully it's going to bring up the right chart. I believe we've built support at 90 cents. Where I think it would invalidate itself is if we go below 80 cents. If we go below 80 cents, then, you know, I'll take myself out that trade because I think there's still, you know, still going to be a push to the downside. And I might re-enter around 70 cents because I think we'll begin to push up because I think that's a key level of kind of support there from that perspective. Now let's break that down a bit further. Like, where are people at in terms of greed? We are in greed in terms of Bitcoin. Still fantastic, good news from that. In terms of entering trades, obviously you want it, you know, ideally the best place to start is when people are in fear. But obviously with all the positive sentiment, I think people are gobbling up left, right, and centre. This is huge as well. Like block set to join S&P 500. These guys hold, I think it's about 8,500 Bitcoin. So companies are beginning that hold a lot of crypto are beginning to order buy the S&P 500. So when people set or get into the S&P 500, some people go, I get it all the time, just buy S&P 500 and, you know, forget about it. Brilliant. Well, to be fair, you know, now crypto is about almost 4 trillion, which is what, 5% of the S&P 500 or something like that. So, you know, you can't now not be in crypto. If you buy the S&P 500, you're still investing essentially in some of the crypto. So if you choose not to invest in crypto yourself and all your profits, etc., or not all of it, but you know, some of it, you're actually choosing not to be part of the market, which to me is crazy for any investor to have those kind of opinions. Well, I'm choosing not to. It's a bubble. I'm not going to do it. X, Y, Z. But I could be proved wrong. Look, breaking. President Trump officially signs the Genius Act into law. He had a few jokes there saying that they'd obviously named it after him. But this is huge for crypto. We've been asking for this for so long. Crypto is now becoming mainstream. Companies are holding it. You know, if someone had asked me, you know, 7 years ago, do you think, you know, companies as part of the S&P 500 or the president will be speaking about a stablecoin act or anything like that, I wouldn't believe you. I probably would have invested more money, if I'm honest, but I didn't. Which brings me on to, you know, the altcoin season index. Cool. So we're about 41, almost like halfway there to where we want to be in terms of an altcoin season. And again, if we actually look at it and how long, you know, altcoin seasons realistically last, you're talking around about November to, you know, not like end of December, and this is where we made all our profits realistically until sort of mid-January, where altcoins were still pumping a bit from that. But you know, from that perspective, it doesn't last long. Even look here, look, December realistically to Feb, it's not long, guys. It's like 4, 6, 8 weeks. Again, back here in 2022 when we entered it, didn't last long at all. Let's go back further. Everyone always talks about the 2021 and the 2017, right, when we hit the sort of 92s, etc. Like, cool, how long did that last? March. You know, we're still at, like, to be fair, yeah, March till June. That's probably the longest that we've had. You, you know, it's just, to me, it's crazy. December to March, 3 months. So you are talking literally 4 weeks to 12 weeks in terms of how long an altcoin season can last. And we're not there yet. We're almost at halfway there. But from that perspective, we're now out of the Bitcoin season. We're beginning to push, hopefully, to the upside. We don't obviously want this, what happened back in July 2024, where everyone's like, cool, we're going to go into an altcoin season, bang, back down. But all of the data and everything I'm looking at looks like now could be the time where we're beginning to push to the upside from an altcoin season perspective. Especially you see like Bitcoin's beginning to trend up. XRP is normally a good one to be looking at in terms of that. Look at that. I mean, such a sharp uptrend in terms of interest over time. That's awesome to see. Like, how can you be negative around the crypto market when you look at that? Again, breaking it out. Today, we are 3.81 trillion in terms of that. We are in greed. According to this, altcoin scene, we're at 39. But like I said, there's always a bit of a disparity between that and the actual index website that I use. There's a bit of a push to the upside on the last hour. Overall, it looks bloody fantastic, if I'm honest. So for anyone that's, you know, been probably entering their trades up here and like CRVs at $1, cool, I'm gonna buy. Oh, cool, we're going back down. Don't sell would be my honest advice. Yes, we can have a bigger push to the downside, but on a macro environment, on a long term, if we broke this down in terms of a weekly, and we actually looked at where are we at, does that look positive to me? Well, that's two pretty large green candles on the weekly, which can only be bullish from that perspective. Look back here, green, 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 fantastic. But again, that only lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks from that perspective. This one, where we're beginning to push, not a huge push, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So again, like, just begin to think about where you're going to exit, what your value is from an altcoin perspective. If you're in Bitcoin, you know, make sure you're setting your targets. Have a good look at, you know, the Bitcoin pairings for all of your altcoins. And that's my video, guys. If you do have any questions or you do want me to look at any of your coins, let me know. One of the things I really want you guys to do is like, subscribe, hit that bell button. It really does help encourage me to do more of this. And I also, you know, I want your feedback. Like, if you want me to do this on a daily, hit the like. If you want me to do it on the weekly, hit the dislike. Those are the kind of things that are going to help, you know, me get a bit of feedback, or just leave a comment down below. But yeah, appreciate that. Have a lovely weekend and peace.